She got him. Do we have it? You're kidding me. You're kidding me.
Jinder Mahal is the most unlikely WWE champion of all time. If you told a wrestling fan a month before he won it that Mahal would hold the biggest championship in WWE, they would probably laugh in your face. Despite it being next to impossible, Jinder somehow did it. How exactly did Jinder go from chump to champ? Let's start at the beginning. After a lackluster run in WWE from 2011 to 2014, Jinder Mahal made his return. He appeared in the ring with Heath Slater, one of his partners in the group 3MB. Slater hadn't been signed to either Raw or SmackDown and was looking for a contract. The Raw general manager, Mick Foley, decided to set up a match between Heath and Jinder, with the winner receiving a Raw contract. Slater wasn't going to fight his friend, but Mahal had no hesitations. He beat his former teammate in 14 seconds and became the newest member of the Raw roster. Despite the strong comeback, things wouldn't stay that way. Jinder Mahal would lose his next 7 matches for about a month. However, on the September 12th episode of Raw, Jinder would get some character development. After leaving WWE, Mahal revealed that he felt hatred and rage. However, after traveling to the Himalayas and spending time in the monasteries, he was able to find peace. Fitting with this statement, Jinder Mahal started calling himself the man that comes in peace. The same night Mahal revealed this, he defeated Jack Swagger, his first victory since defeating Heath Slater. Despite the brief comeback, things pretty much went back to being the same. Jinder Mahal would begin losing matches again and wasn't seen as often on Raw, mainly appearing on Superstars. However, towards the end of 2016, Jinder Mahal would be involved in a segment where he and a few other wrestlers underwent sensitivity training. During the training, Mahal and Enzo Amore got on each other's nerves. Once it was over, Mahal and Rusev, someone else Amore had upset, attacked the Certified G. This caused Mahal to begin a rivalry with Enzo and form a tag team with Rusev. As 2017 began, Jinder and Rusev would continue feuding with Enzo as well as Big Cass. Mahal's team would lose more often than not, but Jinder did still pick up some wins, whether it was with his tag team partner or in singles matches. In February 2017, cracks in Jinder Mahal and Rusev's partnership began to show when Rusev accidentally distracted Jinder and caused them to lose a tag team match. Less than a week later, Jinder Mahal would tell Mick Foley he wished to be a singles competitor again, and thus Jinder's short-lived tag team with Rusev came to an end. The next month was pretty uneventful. Mahal would pick up some wins on main event, but lost all of his other matches. He did participate at WrestleMania 33 in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and was even the runner-up. Shortly after that, WWE would host the Superstar Shakeup, which saw Jinder Mahal move from Raw to SmackDown. His first night on the Blue Brand had a rocky start as Jinder lost to Mojo Rawley. It seemed like no matter what, Mahal was just going to be the guy who was there to lose. But the next week, the unthinkable happened. The first match of the night was a 6-pack challenge, with the winner becoming the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. Jinder Mahal was one of the 6 men competing for an opportunity to challenge the champion, Randy Orton. A chaotic battle followed, with bodies flying everywhere. It looked like Sami Zayn was going to win, but suddenly, Samir and Sunil Singh, who had been wrestling as the Bollywood Boys, grabbed Sami's legs. This allowed Jinder Mahal to get the upper hand and pin Zayn, making Mahal the #1 contender. The victory was met with boos from the crowd that Jinder addressed. He questioned whether the hatred was because he was wealthy and educated, or because the American fans didn't accept diversity. Mahal's speech got cut off by the WWE Champion, Randy Orton. Orton warned Jinder that the only thing he won was an RKO. Despite being the #1 contender, Randy seemed more focused on Bray Wyatt, who he was facing at the next pay-per-view, Payback. Jinder Mahal took offense to this and the next week approached the Viper. Jinder said Orton should be worried about him, and with help from Samir and Sunil, he was able to lay out the Apex Predator. Not only that, but Mahal also stole the WWE Championship belt, and he even took promo pics with it. The modern-day Maharaja didn't stop there. That Sunday at Payback, Jinder and the Singh brothers attacked Randy Orton during his match with Bray Wyatt, causing the Apex Predator to lose. In the lead up to their championship match, Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton fought on opposite teams during a 6-man tag team match. Thanks to all the chaos, Mahal was able to hit the Colossus and pin Randy Orton. The next week, Jinder Mahal would face off against a former WWE champion, AJ Styles. Thanks to help from Sunil and Samir, as well as Kevin Owens, who AJ was feuding with, the modern-day Maharaja was able to defeat the Phenomenal One. Later that same night, Jinder and his cronies were able to once again decimate Randy Orton. Jinder Mahal had a ton of momentum going into his championship match with the Viper, but no one expected what would happen next. Finally, it was time for Mahal and Orton to go at it. The Viper was extremely vicious, knowing that the Singh brothers were looking for any opportunity to interfere. Even without his henchmen, Mahal was still a dangerous opponent. Finally though, Randy Orton hit the RKO, but before he could cover Jinder, Samir and Sunil pulled Mahal out of the ring. The Apex Predator went ballistic on the Singh brothers and destroyed them. However, this allowed Jinder Mahal to catch his opponent off guard with the Colossus and pin him. This was an unbelievable upset, and it was proven by the fans' reactions. Nobody ever thought Jinder Mahal would be WWE Champion, but no one could deny what they just saw. Reality settled in 2 days later when Jinder Mahal had a massive celebration on SmackDown. As champion, Mahal continued to claim that the only reason the American fans booed him was because he was different. Regardless, Randy Orton still had a guaranteed rematch, which he would use at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Similar to their first encounter, the Singh brothers got involved, which caused the Viper to beat them up, which in turn allowed Jinder Mahal to retain. After failing a second time, Randy Orton still believed he could defeat the modern-day Maharaja and demanded a third match. The SmackDown commissioner, Shane McMahon, granted Orton's request, but let Jinder Mahal choose the match stipulation. Mahal decided to make it a Punjabi prison match, which hadn't been used in 10 years. The match was made official, and Jinder Mahal had his second title defense at Battleground. Despite the bamboo walls separating them, Samir and Sunil still managed to interfere. This time though, it looked like Randy Orton had outsmarted them. Just as the Viper was about to escape the prison, the Great Khali made his WWE return. He choked Randy Orton, allowing Jinder Mahal to escape and retain the WWE Championship. Although, I think Khali thought he was the champion. Despite the surprise return, the Great Khali wasn't seen again. After the Punjabi prison match, Jinder Mahal was finished with Randy Orton. Next in line for a WWE Championship match was Shinsuke Nakamura, who got a shot by defeating John Cena. Mahal and Nakamura were set to clash at SummerSlam, but just days before that, the Money in the Bank winner, Baron Corbin, decided to cash in his contract. Mahal was in a bad position, but thanks to a distraction from John Cena, Jinder was able to roll up Corbin and retain the title. With that out of the way, Jinder turned his attention to Shinsuke. Like his previous title defense, the WWE Champion had the Singh brothers by his side. Also like his previous title defenses, they interfered, and this allowed the Maharaja to retain his championship. Despite the victory, Jinder Mahal wasn't done with Shinsuke Nakamura yet. Shortly after SummerSlam, Shinsuke defeated Mahal's previous rival, Randy Orton, to earn another shot at the WWE title. In the build-up to their rematch, WWE would accidentally create some controversy that got them in trouble. Jinder and the Singh brothers were in the ring on SmackDown, making fun of Shinsuke Nakamura.
Shinsuke, you always look the same. They call you Mr. Miyagi.
This even made the crowd chant, "That's too far." WWE quietly ignored the incident, and the rivalry moved on as planned. Jinder and Shinsuke locked up again at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Unlike Jinder's past title defenses, Samir and Sunil would be ejected from ringside partway through the match, making it an even playing field. Mahal tried to escape into the crowd, but Nakamura wouldn't allow it. However, this gave Jinder the opportunity to capitalize and allowed him to win and remain WWE Champion. With 5 title defenses under his belt, Jinder Mahal would make a bold challenge. The modern-day Maharaja challenged the Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar, to a match at Survivor Series. Instead of the Beast, AJ Styles came out and challenged Jinder Mahal. The two ended up getting into a scuffle, which Styles won. On the following episode of Raw, Brock Lesnar, with Paul Heyman, responded and accepted Jinder's challenge. While Mahal prepared to face the Universal Champion, he still had to deal with the Phenomenal One. In the following weeks, both Samir and Sunil Singh would face AJ Styles in singles matches, with AJ winning both times. Styles would finally get a match with Jinder Mahal about a week and a half before Mahal was supposed to fight Brock Lesnar. Unfortunately for the Maharaja, this is where things went downhill. Having been WWE Champion for 170 days, Jinder Mahal prepared to go toe-to-toe with AJ Styles. Like in the past, the Singh brothers were ringside for the champion's title defense. It was a very physical match, and Jinder Mahal was a tough opponent, but of course, Samir and Sunil had to get involved. Like many other challengers, Styles took out the brothers, but in doing so, fell victim to the Colossus. It looked like that was it, but AJ managed to cause a rope break. Jinder was furious, but tried to win a different way. Before he could do anything, AJ recovered and nailed the WWE Champion with a phenomenal forearm. With no one to interfere, AJ pinned Jinder and put an end to the Era of Mahal. Controversial isn't the right word to describe Jinder Mahal's WWE Championship reign, but it was shocking. As you saw, months before he won the title, Jinder was stuck in WWE's lower mid-card, and he only wrestled on one pay-per-view before winning the championship. It is honestly cool to see such an unlikely wrestler become world champion, but it happened so fast. So why did WWE do it then? Right around this time, the internet was becoming a lot more affordable and accessible in India. This meant that suddenly, there was a lot of new potential WWE fans. A lot of companies realized this and tried to capture the Indian market. WWE's way of doing this was by pushing Indian stars. Looking just at Jinder Mahal's title reign, it was kind of average. Mahal's character wasn't anything new, and his matches usually followed a similar formula. Jinder fights the challenger, right before the challenger could win, the Singh brothers interfere, the challenger takes out the Singh brothers, allowing Jinder to capitalize and retain. Mahal's title reign wasn't bad, but it was average. In December 2017, Mahal get his rematch with AJ Styles at Clash of Champions. Not a huge surprise, but Jinder didn't become a two-time WWE champion. Since then, Jinder Mahal is still part of WWE, but isn't seen regularly. Someone we don't see in WWE at all is Sin Cara. To relive his imposter storyline, watch the video on screen.